Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm very pleased to open this session, and I would like to introduce you on what we are doing in the field of bone regeneration. We at Greenbone decided to go and target this important unmet medical need from a completely different point of view. So we source inspiration from nature in order to provide for the first time at the end a synthetic material that have the ambition to behave as a sort of orthobiologics in the body, so being able really not only to be integrated but to trigger an effective and natural regeneration process. Just briefly, the journey of our company, that we are based in Italy, so very close to Bologna for those of you that know the town. And we became operational at the beginning of 2015. Since then, we have completed the preclinical dev of the product in compliance also with the new regulation, the MDR 2017, that will be in place since May 2020. But we have been also able to be granted the CE mark in December this year, according with the MDD 9342, that give us now 5 years of time to not only to complete the clinical dev, but to have a product that is ready to be introduced to the market in due time. In addition to that, we have 2 clinical studies ongoing that I'm going to describe you shortly, and we raised so far through a seed and round A 11.4 million euro, and we are preparing for a round B to be closed by the end of the year with targets in mind and activities to be performed that, again, I will show you later on. The target for us are those patients that are subject to surgery, bone reconstruction. That means all those patients that for one reason or the other needs during surgery to benefit from a bone graft in order to restore a bone loss. The good news for us is that today the gold standard is still bone transplantation. And this means that most, if not all, the alternatives available today, including bone from banks, so cadaver bone, and polymer-based or even 3D printing solutions, provide as weaknesses that doesn't completely satisfy the clinical use. And what we wanted to bring, as I said at the beginning, is a product that is inspired by nature in order to really trigger regeneration in the patient. Why we believe to have such unique strengths? Because for the first time, we are really moving from what nature provides us. And we are using natural wood as a starting material because thanks to nature, there are some species of wood that has internally, as you can appreciate from the picture, an internal architecture that are very similar to the one that do exist in our bone. What we do, thanks to our technology, is take wood, shape it accordingly with the bone that we want to reconstruct, and then, thanks to our process, we completely change the chemical composition without losing in any step of the process the internal 3D architecture that is provided by nature. So the final material that I have in my hands doesn't contain any single atom from the original piece of wood, but the internal architecture. And we have at the end a biomaterial that is a calcium phosphate phases, so is the best chemical composition ever, because there is no discussion that the combination of hydroxyapatite and tricalcium phosphate is the best biocompatible material ever, being the chemical composition of bone, but having internally some unique properties. First, the architecture that is completely preserved, as you can appreciate it here through the TAC images, both longitudinally and the huge interconnection porosity that moves from micro to nanoscale. That is impossible to be easily replicated even with the 3D printing technology. And third, the bioactive nanocrystal morphology that you see on the right. And this is due to the fact that differently from any other hydroxyapatite 3D product today available, we do not need to apply sintering at the end. For those of you that may know the process, this causes sintering completely destroy the capacity of cells to metabolize hydroxyapatite, because the results are the very big translucent macrocrystals that are like a piece of stones. Because we benefit from an existing 3D architecture, we formed hydroxyapatite applying an innovative 3D chemical process. And so we have at the end, we don't need at the end to expose the material to very high temperatures, so to sintering, and we preserve the bioactive nanocrystal morphology that is the one our cells are looking for to effectively metabolize the material, and so make Greenbone be subject to an effective resorption and regeneration process. This is just to show you what we have been granted through the CE mark, so the different shapes so far available that are hollow cylinders of different diameters and lengths and blocks of different size that can be used today accordingly with the approved indication in bone loss caused by trauma and surgical induced defects in the extremities and pelvis, so arms, legs, and pelvis. A brief summary of the preclinical results. So this is just a snapshot of the large sheep study that we conducted at the preclinical unit of Asaf Rofeh in Israel in collaboration with the orthopedics surgeon of the Rizzoli Orthopedic Institute, a gold standard center located in Italy, where we have been able to demonstrate a complete regeneration of a critical defect in a load-bearing long bone, as you can see with the formation of very nice and new osteon, properly revascularized. And we have data also taken from the harvested tissues that also the mechanical and elastic properties of the newly formed bone were already very, very close to those of the pre-existing cortex just in 6 months. This is just a nice story, very briefly. This is a dog that we saved from amputation. He had a very bad double injuries at both bones of the front leg that has been completely restored using Greenbone. And just jump into the clinic, this is a summary of the 2 clinical studies that we are conducting. They have been launched as a pre-CE mark studies in order to comply with the requirement of the new regulation. But as I said before, we have been, let's say, good and lucky to get the CE mark granted anyhow in December last year. So the first study is in the extremities. We have 4 patients done at the moment, one the oldest with 10 months follow-up, and one of these 4 patients has been already released as completely healed during the study. The second study is conducted only in UK, is in the pelvis using blocks, and in this case we have 5 patients done with the 5 months follow-up. Now, a couple of things I would like to underline here, as you can see, is that the product has been, this is also in the granting for the CE mark, is suitable to be shaped by the surgeon in order to have the best fit directly in the surgery theater, because despite its chemically ceramic material is not brittle as the usual ceramics, so it can be cut and shaped to achieve the best fit. And it's suitable to be used with any fixation system, so X-Fix, plate, and intramedullary nail. This is a summary of the first interim reports in the iliac crest that confirmed the usability, the best fit, the good continuity with the anatomy, and good evidence of healing process, integration, and bone restoration. And by the way, no adverse event in any of the 9 patients treated so far. Just a snapshot on the market that I'm sure you know very well. These are pretty challenging numbers, I admit that, but they have been designed looking and defining the market not in terms of value of existing product today, but in terms of number of procedures. Because again, being bone transplantation the gold standard, a product having the right profile in terms of bone regeneration could have the ambition to target also at least some of the patients that today are subject to bone transplantation. And so this allowed to have very interesting prospective numbers to be achieved. As I said at the beginning, we are moving to a round B of investment, and the use of proceeds for us are mainly dedicated to three things. One is to expand the clinical use beyond the 2 clinical studies that we are conducting at the moment in order to have as much as possible the use in the clinic and prepare for the commercial introduction in 2021. In this respect, also, we want to improve the manufacturing capacity. We want to initiate the development to target additional application because this is a platform technology, and so we are going to move in spine and other area. The seniority of the company covers 25-year plus experience in business development, in science, in health, in regulatory and quality. So all the core that are needed to successfully develop the product. The panel of main advisors from a clinical standpoint, starting just to mention Peter Giannoudis, that maybe you know, is based here in Leeds and is one of the worldwide leader in bone reconstruction surgery. And the board of investors that show at least the most known investor that we have on board, including Helsinki Investment Fund, Innogest, and Invitalia Venture in Italy, plus few others. Just a very short comment to conclude my presentation, why we are based in Faenza, in south of Italy. Well, this is for those of you that have been in Italy, Faenza is one of the heart for ceramic materials since the Middle Age, and for arts and buildings and so on. And so we have been able to capitalize and benefit from a stratification of knowledge in this specific field that expanded in many different directions with the expansion of use of ceramics, including bone regeneration, so regenerative medicine, that allow us to benefit from very innovative manufacturing processes that for the first time gave the opportunity to transform a natural material like wood in a bioactive material like greenbone, with the final goal in mind for the first time to give patients the hope to return having back a real natural bone after a serious injury. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm ready to take any question you may have.